What up, Claytriots? It's your boy, Technically Clay, streaming at you from sunny St. Louis, Missouri. How's everybody doing out there? Hope you're doing good. I'm doing pretty good myself. It's a nice early Sunday morning. I got some coffee. I got my desktop. I got my microphone, and I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm here for you, and I'm ready for you to receive me right into your ears. Okay, let's see. Anyway, so since the last time you saw me, man, I had a busy day yesterday. I did my nerdy stream yesterday. I did my recap of my D&D session, and then I did played a little bit of Slay the Spire. It didn't really go anywhere, or I didn't get a good run going or anything. So then after that, I went to the there was like a garage sale, like just a like neighborhood wide garage sale. So I went, me and my wife went and walked around and looked for some stuff. We got a couple things. Nothing. We were looking for more like outdoor furniture and stuff, but we didn't really find anything, unfortunately. And there was one dude who was like trying to sell he like, you know how like garage sales. Okay, here's my opinion. When I go to a garage sale, is I expect that people are just trying to get rid of shit, right? And so because of that, it's heavily discounted, like 10% of what you might be able to get at like a reseller or something, right? And so when we went to this one place and I saw this like little mower, like a lawn mower, like an electric lawn mower, and I was like, you know what? I've been just weed whacking parts of my lawn or whatever, but I'm like, maybe if I got like a nice little mower, it might make this easier. So I asked him how much it was, and he was like, well, I think it originally went for 600, but I'll sell it to you for 300. I was like, man, dude, if you would have put it at like 100, then I would have bought it. But but I was like, that's like too much or whatever. But then I went, and he's like, well, I'm just trying to sell my roommate's stuff or whatever. I was like, okay, whatever. And he's like, I want to get a good price for it. So then we found this like other thing that they had, which was like a D&D like miniature set or whatever. So I was like, okay, how much is this? And he was like, I'll give it to you for 30. I was like, $30. I was like, he's like, well, it's unopened, I think that that's a good price for it. I went and looked online and I could find it for around $30. I'm like, that's not the point of garage sales. I'm not trying to like find stuff for I'm not trying to find stuff that's listed at the exact same price that I could get it online or whatever. I'm here because like you're trying to get rid of shit, and like I'll get it for cheap. If it was like $10, maybe I would get it. $15 maybe. But like if you're selling it for the same price I could get it online, it's like, then why am I even doing the work of going out to to the garage sale? Anyway, that was just like one little thing that irked me a little bit, but yeah, like I said, we got a couple things. And then after that, I went to do a DSA event, or like Canvas. I went in Canvas for Corey Bush. So I walked like 7 miles yesterday. And then after that, I came home, and then I didn't really do anything after that. I just kind of played video games, and that's about it. Like played some more Slay the Spire. And then let's see. After that, I went to bed, woke up, I did some chores, and then I came here, I reheated some coffee, and then I came here to be with you, the viewer. Hello. So today, you know what? I decided to just do news of the day, typical normal stream. I got some topics lined up, and that's what we're going to be going over. We're going to catch up on Iran, as we always do. We got to keep up with Iran. It's very important. We're going to go over some DSA stuff, particularly everybody, the media generally freaking out that there's a group now that is not the corporate neoliberal centrist Democrats who they're so used to just rolling over. Like they're so used to people just rolling over and dying, like whenever they get the slightest amount of pushback from Republicans and conservatives. And now they're getting, people who won't do that, people who will actually just like go out there and fucking fight and don't give a shit if you attack them for like, being commies or leftists or socialists or whatever. So I don't know, that should be a little bit of fun. Gonna look into some like baseball hat thing. I don't know what I briefly looked into it. I think some people put like religious verses on their pride hats or something as like a sign of resistance or whatever. I don't know, resistance to the oppression of gay people. I don't know. So we're gonna look into that as well. And then we got we're diving a little deeper on Algae-Gate, the algae resistance, to the war of American pedo aggression that Donald Trump is waging against the reflecting pool. The algae resistance is coming back, and they're coming back strong. Even with the use of chemical warfare, with hydrogen peroxide being dumped into the reflecting pool, it seems unkillable. It seems unwinnable. And at some point, America is just going to have to realize that, this type of guerrilla warfare, there's not really much you can do about it. So we're going to go into that too. Anyway, let's get started. People. Let's go to Iran. Okay, let's see. I wanted to start with this video from Fox News. This is, it says Trump threatens tolls on Strait of Hormuz. And this one just caught my eye because I'm like, they do this shit all the time. America has no good ideas anymore. Like, I'm serious. It has no ideas. It is like a vacuous, like empty, like there's just nothing going on here. And so what America has done, I feel like multiple times throughout this entire conflict with Iran, is taken what Iran is saying and what Iran is doing, and then being like, no, we're doing that. Actually, we're doing that. It's such like a 12-year-old thing to do. No, you can't be Luke Skywalker. I'm Luke Skywalker. Actually, you can't do it. I'm actually the one. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like so like it's just so like 12-year-old coded to me. But anyway, so apparently Trump's threatening to put tolls on the Strait of Hormuz. Let's go ahead and watch this Fox News video clip and let's see what's going on here.
Vance is in Switzerland with White House envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. They're there, of course, for the Iran peace talks.
But President Trump is threatening to impose tolls on the Strait of Hormuz if a deal with Tehran isn't secured.
Chief foreign correspondent Trey Yingst is live in Tel Aviv with the latest.
Like, it's so funny because it's like the entire point of the U.S.-led international global order is supposed to be that there are free and open waterways, right? And that's the whole argument as to why Iran isn't supposed to be allowed to do this under international law, to set up a tolling system, even though, you can word it in a way that it could be consistent with international law. Turkey has environmental fees for their waterway. Like there are ways that you could like make it. It's really just whether people want to allow it. But regardless, it's so funny that like, oh, well, if they're going to do it, actually, no, they're not going to do it. We're going to do it. And so now we're the ones who are just going to like destroy the international, like the whole idea of international free trade or like international water or whatever. I don't know. It is kind of funny. And this is a point. Like, I'm going to be honest, this is pointless. Like what's an American toll going to do strategically? Let's see what maybe they'll say what the plan is here. But like, I don't understand what this is such a like nonsense response to this. I'm very curious what Donald Trump is like thinking this would even possibly do for this particular circumstance.
Hey, Trey.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. High-level diplomatic talks are set to take place today in Switzerland, aimed at solidifying the memorandum of understanding and entering into the next phase of negotiations. Vice President J.D. Vance is joined by special envoys Witkoff and Kushner to move these talks forward. On the American side, Iran's parliament...
Please keep them away from the negotiating table. I swear to God, they are the worst negotiators that have ever existed. Iran gave America, when Iran was originally negotiating with Kushner and Witkoff, Iran, before America decided to go into a war of choice and aggression against them, Iran had literally offered them everything America could have ever wanted, everything, fucking everything, man. Just to because they were just trying to stop the potential strikes that were likely going to be incoming, so they offered them everything, and then Witkoff and Kushner just turned them down like the two biggest fucking idiots that have ever existed, and now they're going back again. Okay, we'll see how that goes, man.
Speaker Mohammad Khalibaf and the country's...
It's also so funny because Iran sends actual intelligent professionals, diplomats, experts, these people with multiple degrees. They speak fluent English. They are literally the top of the top in terms of the intellectual diplomatic personnel that exist inside of Iran. And then who does America send? Their fucking son-in-law and an Epstein affiliate. It's what?
Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi will represent the Iranian side. Vice President Vance spoke about the detailed talks before departing.
Well, I think number one, just getting things set up in the right way and getting the actual structure of the negotiation in place. So the way that we're going to do this is that we're going to have a principal level political leadership at the top, and then obviously executive leaders to stay on the ground.
This audio is cursed, dude. And also this look is cursed. His hair, man, when he is not dressed up nice, with his hair all pristine, he really does kind of just look like the way people, the way that he thinks about the people in Appalachia, how he thinks that they act and behave. That's how he looks right here.
Hopefully make progress on the nuclear issue, make progress on the Lebanon ceasefire issue. Those are the two big things that I think we're going to be focused on.
The issue of Lebanon remains a major sticking point. 5 Israeli soldiers were killed by Hezbollah in the course of 48 hours over the weekend. The Israelis responded with heavy airstrikes across southern Lebanon. Now, in response, the Iranians claimed they are closing...
Yeah, they responded like they always do, by kicking the puppy. They attacked civilians. They killed civilians. Congratulations. That does not win a war. Hezbollah will continue taking IDF lives as long as Israel exists inside of Lebanon. This is why it's a pointless endeavor. It's a fruitless endeavor from Israel's perspective to continue these operations in Lebanon. They're going to get pushed out eventually. Every single time they've done this in the past, they have been pushed out. And back in the past, when they did it before, they were in a much better political and military situation than they currently are right now. There's no doubt in my mind that even if America is unable to restrain Israel and force them out of Lebanon, doing some sort of trail of war criminal tears or whatever, right? Just marching them, humiliation march, right out of Lebanon. Even if America doesn't do that, Israel's going to get pushed out. Now, I don't know how long it'll take. The previous occupation that existed, I think lasted 5 or 10 years, if I remember correctly. How long did Israel occupy Lebanon? 80s. Oh, it's 20 years. Yeah, last time they occupied it for 20 years. So I don't know. We'll see how long they can last this time. But I'm gonna guess, just based on how militarily diminished they are and how often Hezbollah is able to take out IOF soldiers, at least a couple a week. I'm gonna guess that the appetite for this and in Israel, you have to understand, there's two conflicting things going on with the Israeli public. There's this genocidal rage that comes from a sense of superiority over their over their neighbors, right? Like it's like a very like, you know, it's a fascist ideology, Zionism is. And so they believe that they are like the superior culture and that they are rightfully supposed to take over all of this territory. And then anytime these resistance groups fight back, it sends them, because of that, like that feeling of superiority, it sends them into a like Zionist rage, like a messianic just like rage that they just want to go in and they will sacrifice life and limb just to be able to kill one more brown child. Like that's like how, like that's what goes through their head every single time that they get hit, or like that every time Hezbollah imposes some sort of like actual cost on them. But like that can only go so far. Like you can only maintain that rage for so long. And eventually I think that they will have to realize that it's a fruitless errand and they will turn back. And like I said, they're like militarily, they are so overstretched. They are so diminished. Like I just think that I think that if I had to guess, like if within 5 years, probably they would end up getting forced out. That's like I honestly, that's kind of like an overestimate from me just to be a little bit safe. But I think like within 5 years, they'll probably get pushed out.
In the Strait of Hormuz, something U.S. officials push back against, saying that U.S. forces remain in control. President Trump posted a Truth Social about the strait on Saturday, saying there will be no tolls in the Strait of Hormuz Strait for 60 days during the ceasefire period, and there will be no tolls after the 60-day period has expired unless they are imposed by and for the United States of America. And Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson said,
okay, well, that's a little bit different than the way it was framed on the title, because because Trump had floated this out in the beginning too, of like, maybe we'll get in on it. Maybe we'll get in on the tolls. Maybe we'll also be a part of it. And so like Iran and Oman are probably going to set something up, and maybe if they feel like it, they might give America or just Donald Trump personally a little bit of a kickback or something, just so that they, just to make it easy on them or whatever from a messaging perspective. But I don't know. I'm still not thinking that that's very likely. I do think that the tolling system is going to exist, but I think it's largely just going to be Iran and Oman. Iran has no reason to allow Trump to take a kickback or something from this. Like, they militarily defeated America. There's no reason for them to accept that at all.
Said this about Israel and the link to Lebanon in the broader agreement.
The other side was obliged to compel those under its influence, specifically the Zionist regime, to cease fire in Lebanon. In this regard, we have seen that they have failed to fulfill their obligations, and this constitutes a clear violation of the ceasefire understanding.
Iran continues to try to tie the memorandum of understanding to the issue of Lebanon as Hezbollah kills Israel.
Well, they did. They did. We read the text. Like, Lebanon is clearly as clear as day in there, along with maintaining the territorial integrity of Lebanon. That language is also in there. Like, it's in there. We both signed it. It's not Iran trying to do this. Both America and Iran signed on to this. There's a mutual understanding that Lebanon is a part of the ceasefire.
Israeli soldiers, it is creating a challenging situation for mediators. As Hezbollah kills Israeli soldiers, it is creating a challenging situation for mediators who are looking to keep this memorandum of understanding on course.
Yeah. And this is what I said from the very beginning. As long as Israel occupies that territory, Hezbollah is not going to stop fighting back. Hezbollah will continue killing them. Now, they might, if I guess Iran asks them to, they might pause unless Israel starts attacking again. But as long as definitely if Israel starts attacking again, they are going to continue responding. And because of Israel's goal is to destroy the ceasefire and to bring America back fully into the war, then I just feel like the direction of this is like pretty unilateral. Like, I don't really see this going super far, to be honest. Like, I think that eventually Iran is going to have to respond militarily to Israel. And then, and because Trump just doesn't seem willing to actually, do what it takes, like make the phone call to say, we are no longer going to support Israel militarily. We are imposing an arms embargo on Israel until they withdraw from Lebanon. Like, that would literally be the only way for this, I think, for the ceasefire to actually go through. And so I don't think he has the will to do that. And therefore, and then when Iran does inevitably strike Israel, is America going to go in and protect them? Like, a good, I think, middle ground for Trump would be like, well, if Iran wants to strike Israel, hey, we tried to stop them. They're not stopping. So, it's up. Israel can defend itself this time or something, something along those lines. But I also don't really think that would happen either. Just because of how tied the deep state between these two countries are, and like what they are going to, like even if Trump says that, like if he says they're on their own, we're not helping them, I guarantee you behind the scenes, all of our CIA operatives are working with Mossad to, get them all of the resources, all of the missile interceptors, to get them all of the, everything that they could possibly need to try to defend against the attack, just because that's just the way these things go. So I don't know. I just really only see one direction that's going, and that's the collapse of this ceasefire, the reimposition of the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, which has already happened according to Iran. And eventual just a reigniting of this hot war. But you never know. There's always a slim chance. Trump does behave differently than the foreign policy blob sometimes. He did with signing on this onto this this memorandum of understanding, and he also did previously back with the fight against the Houthis. Like, sometimes the standard rules that would dictate my ability to somewhat foresee what's going to happen doesn't always work out with Trump, because he will sometimes behave in a unilateral way that is different than most people would, following the path of least resistance into occupation or whatever, that sort of stuff.
Trey, thanks. Great reporting. A quick question. In your sense of this, so we had Vice President J.D. Vance on yesterday, and he has been sort of defending this new 60-day period, saying that Iran has a chance for the first time in 47 years after being hell-bent on terrorism to be a normal country. Are you getting a sense that something may be different in these talks now?
Yes, the United States is giving Iran an opportunity to enter into serious discussions about their nuclear program and see if they're actually serious in making those concessions that the United States wants at the negotiating table. Remember, this is a ceasefire extension. It is not the final deal with the Iranian regime. And both President Trump and the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, have indicated the U.S. military remains on alert and could use force if needed if the Iranians step back from this agreement. And so these talks today in Switzerland are going to be critical to see if they can move things forward, but also to see if they can address this issue of Lebanon that the Iranians continue to tie to the memorandum of understanding. Top officials from the IRGC and also political leadership in Tehran have said that any Israeli strikes against southern Lebanon would constitute a violation of the memorandum of understanding, but they haven't noted that Israeli soldiers are still being killed. And Hezbollah continues to launch rockets and drones, not just at Israeli forces in southern Lebanon, but sometimes over the border into northern Israel.
Yeah, but they wouldn't be killed if they all just left. That's the thing. If they all just left, I guarantee you 100%. If Israel retreated from Lebanon, got within its borders, and then said, we are agreeing to the ceasefire, and then Hezbollah would also stop firing missiles into Israel. Hezbollah only fires missiles into Israel because of their territorial integrity, the problems there. Israel was already firing missiles into Lebanon before Hezbollah fired missiles into Israel, in this latest round of conflict. So, you know what I'm saying? They are a resistance organization. They're not going to overstep. They're never going to try to they just because they're looking at it from a strategic perspective of getting Israel out of their territory in the short term. They're not going to restart like restart firing on Israel like after they are out of their territory. That's, I think, a ridiculous assumption.
And the Israelis say they will respond against those types of attacks. And so they need to have some clarity here in terms of what this means and what would actually constitute a violation of the agreement. And again, if the Iranians are serious about moving things forward at the negotiating table.
So, Trey, we know that this very fragile period of time that we're in right now, as you've laid out, depends on a large degree on what happens in Lebanon, if we can get that the back and forth to end there. But the Gulf states are also a big factor here. Where do and we know Israel doesn't like this agreement, but where are the Gulf states? Do they like this agreement? Do they also see, as J.D. Vance laid out, an opportunity for a new kind of peace in the Middle East, that this could be the beginning of perhaps something bigger?
Yeah, the Gulf states are actually very happy with this agreement because, remember, they were coming under direct assault by the Iranian regime, and they are on the front lines of this conflict. And so across the board, the Gulf countries have been supportive of the efforts by President Trump and American mediators to reach this memorandum of understanding because, again, it extends the ceasefire and ensures that they're not going to come under attack over the next 2 months. More broadly here, the president wants to see this momentum from the agreement with the Iranians lead to countries in the Gulf joining the Abraham Accords. He sees a larger vision for peace across the Middle East and believes that the momentum here at the negotiating table could lead to more countries normalizing ties with Israel. And this is
Nope. Not happening. Not happening. It's not happening. It's not happening. These countries, the Gulf states, are finally realizing at this point in time that Iran is here to stay. They no longer have this delusion that They no longer have this delusion that Iran is somehow going to be contained by America and Israel. Like that was always delusional. However, now it is like obvious. America was unable to defeat Iran militarily with the entire like $1 trillion a year that we spend on our military. America was unable to defeat Iran militarily. And Iran showed that it has control over the Strait of Hormuz. It can close it and open it at will whenever it wants going forward. That's just the nature of the matter. Iran is the hegemon in this region. Okay. It is the regional hegemon. None of the Gulf states can compete with Iran. Israel can't compete with Iran. And guess what? Even America can't fuck with Iran. America can't destroy Iran, right? None of these countries can do anything against Iran. Iran is the regional hegemon. So my guess is that all of these Gulf states, there's been reporting that behind the scenes, they are starting to move closer towards Iran. They are starting to, send, develop better economic integrations. I think a part of this sanctions relief is going to be a lot of investment, like, those like $300 billion of investment. Like I assume a lot of that is going to be coming from these Gulf states to economically integrate with Iran. And so my guess is that, like, instead of all of them normalizing ties with Israel, I think they're all going to start normalizing ties with Iran. And, potentially they might counterbalance between Iran and America / Israel to some in some regards. But I think all of them realize the truth, though, that Israel can't compete with Iran. Israel is not going to be able to protect them from Iran in the future. And that was the entire point. I don't know if a lot of people know that. That was the entire point of the Abraham Accords, was that all these countries would normalize with Israel in order so that Israel could become the regional hegemon that would then militarily contain and dominate Iran for America's sake, so that America could retreat from the region and pull all of its resources to then go send over to China. Like, that was the original thing. And that's just not happening. So I do not see any of these countries signing on to the Abraham Accords at all, unless they completely redo them, like, and include like Iran and it, like if they just like essentially just completely destroy and rebuild the Abraham Accords as to being something completely different. I don't really see anything like that happening.
Been the sell to Israeli politicians. Look, this could be an opportunity for a broader peace. Now, the issue of Lebanon also remains a sticking point, but it also remains an opportunity. And I've been talking with regional officials who say that if this agreement can hold, there is this parallel diplomatic process that President Trump initiated, and it's led by Secretary of State Rubio, to normalize ties between the Israeli and Lebanese governments, aimed at ultimately reaching an understanding that would disarm Hezbollah in southern Lebanon.
Okay, they might normalize with the Lebanese government, but that's because the Lebanese government is just the Palestinian Authority for Lebanon. It is a collaborator with the state of Israel. It is essentially an Israeli proxy, right? And that's never going to work, because as soon as, like, they're first of all, the Lebanese state is not capable of disarming Hezbollah. It's just not. Neither is Israel. Israel's not capable of disarming Hezbollah either. So there is no like, and also, like, as soon as, for instance, as soon as, like, Lebanon, like, this is why it's contradictory, right? As soon as, like, let's say the Lebanese army, so, like, quote unquote, disarms Hezbollah, you know what happens immediately after that? Israel starts occupying further and further into Lebanon because there's no resistance. They'll keep going. They'll keep going to Beirut. They'll keep going past Beirut until they occupy the entire country. Like, so, and that will inevitably breed resistance, a new resistance group. And that's why it's completely contradictory. You can't disarm Hezbollah without getting rid of the reason for Hezbollah existing. So I don't know. That's a pipe dream. Not going to happen.
And in the southern Dakhla neighborhood of Beirut, they'd be working toward a common goal. And that is part of the reason that the Lebanese president, Joseph Aoun, is expected to head to Washington to meet with top negotiators and also with American and possibly even Israeli officials to move this forward, because they have a shared interest to get rid of Hezbollah.
Okay, I'm going to skip forward real quick. I did want to read this site from, or this post from DropSite. New Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson: the plan is for the talks to last one day. This is from like an hour ago. Iran said today's talks in Switzerland will focus on the U.S. failure to implement the first clause of the Iran-U.S. Memorandum of Understanding, which requires an end to the war on all fronts, including Lebanon. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Esmail Baghaei said the Iranian delegation will hold bilateral meetings Sunday morning with Pakistani and Qatari mediators before a four-party meeting with the U.S., Qatari, and Pakistani delegations later in the day. Baghaei said Article 13 makes negotiations on a final agreement conditional on implementing 5 provisions, including Article 1, which calls for ending the war on all fronts, including Lebanon. He said the United States has either been unable or unwilling to enforce that provision, and Israel has continued to violate the agreement, adding that the issue will be central focus of Sunday's talk. So, yeah, so they're primarily just going to be focused on the Israel problem right now. And I don't think that they're going to, it sounds like they're not going to go any further in those negotiations. The next thing I wanted to look at, though, was, was this video from Fox and Friends. I guess Herzog comes on this one, the Israeli president, I think. Yeah, Israeli President Isaac Herzog. He's going to join, and we're going to hear what the president of Israel has to say. I'm sure it won't be completely and totally unhinged.
That we have rising tensions in the Middle East. As America's strongest ally there, Israel has faced nearly 200 missiles or drones fired by Hezbollah terrorists in Lebanon. All this within 48 hours since the so-called ceasefire began. It comes.
How many strikes and drones has Lebanon faced from the Israeli terrorists? What's that one like? I'm sure it's in the hundreds as well, if not in the thousands.
As a special session on the conflict has now reportedly been added as the first item on the agenda to be discussed at the U.S.-Iran talks in Switzerland as soon as possibly today. But Israel not backing down in its fight to defend itself from terrorists. President Isaac Herzog joins us now from Jerusalem with an update. Good morning, Mr. President. Thank you for being here. Take us into how you see.
Good morning to you. Thank you.
Take us into how you see the latest in the negotiations. Obviously, the conflict in southern Lebanon is playing an issue, and Prime Minister Netanyahu is saying that he will not back down from Hezbollah attacks.
So first of all, we definitely don't object to a diplomatic outcome of the war, but we are raising concerns which are legitimate, and we're speaking about them. For example, take into account the issue of Lebanon. Lebanon, actually on Tuesday, Israel and Lebanon will resume another round of talks in Washington. in order to reach a peace agreement. But
why are you not talking with Hezbollah? They're the ones that are, you know, they're the rightful owner of arms in Lebanon. They are the only people in Lebanon who are actually trying to protect the territorial integrity and sovereignty of that country. They are the ones that you are supposed to be negotiating with. They're essentially just negotiating with themselves. I keep talking about this, but the Lebanese army and the Lebanese government is just a puppet of Israel. They are just negotiating with themselves. This is a pointless endeavor if you are not negotiating with Hezbollah. It's completely and totally vapid and pointless.
Peace agreement, but a peace agreement between Israel and Lebanon cannot be reached if Iran has so much leverage and they're trying to squeeze themselves into this conflict in Lebanon through terror, through a terror-recognized organization which is called Hezbollah and which is their long proxy. So Iran should not be involved at all.
Why? Well, what are you going to do about it? They made it a part of the ceasefire. You want to know how they did that? Through military might, through controlling the Strait of Hormuz. They got that as a concession. Okay, they got that as a concession because they were able to militarily defeat America. You got to hold that fucking L. Then there's nothing you can do about it. I'm telling these people. I'm trying to tell Israel. There's literally nothing you can do about it. There is nothing you can fucking do about it. And you can keep trying to blow up the ceasefire, but inevitably that's going to lead to Iran just striking Israel again. And maybe America will protect you, maybe they won't. I'd guess probably they will, but there's only so long America can protect you as well, because America can only produce like 5 missile interceptors a year or whatever, eventually you're going to run out. The trajectory of this is long term, the trajectory of this is set in stone. We'll see if this actual current short-term ceasefire actually gets to the inevitable end result or not. I'm not so sure that it's going to, but the long-term trajectory of this is inevitable, with Iran, rising up and essentially becoming the regional hegemon, the regional superpower of this region.
In the crisis in Lebanon, because they're kind of getting through it through the MOU, the world has to stand up to them. The United States, I'm sure, is talking about it, and it has to be made clear that Iran cannot be involved in Lebanon, because otherwise they're weakening the leadership of Lebanon, which wants to make peace with us.
This is stupid.
And we want to make peace with them.
Exactly. This is all you need to know. The Israelis want to make peace with somebody. The Israelis want to make peace with somebody. Okay. Yeah. Okay. They're sure. They're definitely not just the Palestinian Authority. Look, I guarantee you what would happen. I can tell you exactly what would happen. Let's say Hezbollah disarmed in its entirety overnight, and the Lebanese army and the Lebanese government took over, right? Here's what would happen. Israel, inside of its buffer zone, would start creating, would start building settlements. They would start building settlements in those zones. They would be strategically made to try to divide up the land and make it impossible for it to ever be, removed in the future, right? The Lebanese army and the Lebanese government would in the same way that the Palestinian Authority does, not do anything about it, allow these aggressions, and then eventually they would start pushing forward. It would just be the West Bank all over again. That's all that would happen. It's ridiculous to think it would be any other way. So, and it's not going to happen. These people live in a fantasy world.
So, Mr. President, we certainly hear that, but obviously it is also the fact that the situation with Hezbollah in southern Lebanon is now becoming a part of President Trump's attempts to get this deal signed, and ultimately a denuclearization of Iran and stopping Iran's funding of proxies like Hezbollah, Hamas, and Houthis is a win for not only Israel, the entire Middle East, but obviously, this situation has caused tensions between Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Trump. You are the president of Israel. Have you had communication with the Trump administration, and are you in some way a mediator in the situation?
So I'll say, first of all, as head of state, I don't have executive powers, but I definitely have very strong and warm relations also with the U.S. administration. I think, actually, that there is a very good rapport and dialogue between Israel and the United States in all levels. We can have our differences. I think that raising legitimate concerns is very legitimate because we, Israel, are at the front line of this war. We have been the ones being bombarded by Iranian missiles, by their proxies. We are the ones who are protecting the West, the free world,
Shut
Europe,
up, dude.
by
Oh my
us
God.
being at the front line. We are the ones who are out there as a very close ally, intimate ally, and loyal ally with the United States in trying to make sure that Iran does not reach any nuclear capability or becoming a threshold state. And therefore, I think the dialogue should be held in closed rooms. I think it should be open and frank as it's always been, because we do enjoy very close and trustworthy relations between the nations. We drink from the same fountains of the Bible and the origins of our civilizations.
Dude, they know their audience so fucking well, man. I swear to God. You know, when he says that shit, right? He's not gearing that towards like I don't know, like he is gearing that towards specifically evangelical Christian Zionists. That is what he's doing. He is trying to be like, we drink from this, like he's saying we are on the same side. We are Christians against those barbaric Muslim hordes who don't believe in like, but like the ironic part is, I mean, I guess I don't know, is it irony? I'm not really sure, but like, all three, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, are all based on the exact same, like, you know, like the exact same history, you know, the exact same, you know, ideology, where you have God. Then the Christians, you know, they added the first patch where they're like, actually, Jesus was the Son of God, where Jews don't believe that. Jews believe that, you know, he was a, you know, gifted like person, but he was not the Son of God. And the Muslims then added like another patch on top of the Christian patch that says actually Jesus wasn't the Son of God. He was just a prophet, just like Muhammad, who was the last and final prophet of God. You know, it's like they're all like building off of the same exact like the same exact like mythology or whatever you want to call it. And so, but anyway, what he's doing right here, though, is he's just trying to tell all the Christian Zionists, like, yes, we are all we are all on the same side, and we must fight back against the hordes of Islamic jihad out there or whatever. Like, that's what he's trying to do.
We know exactly who threatens us and who wants, by a jihadi war all over the world, to annihilate not only the small Satan, which is called by them Israel, but the big Satan, which is called by them the United States.
Mr. President,
I mean, this shit, like, it only works on the most brain broken Christian Zionists, I think, at this point. Like, I have to imagine that this does not play super great, even maybe to the Fox News Boomer audience. I bet it does, but to, like, you know, even like younger conservative, like Groyper types and stuff, I don't think that this plays very well.
And have you tried to reach out to Lebanese President Joseph Aoun and tell him that he should be standing up to Hezbollah in his own country? Because at the end of the day, the place to get to could be better relationships between Lebanon and Israel. Obviously, Hamas is the problem. Have you called on President Aoun to take up?
He just said Hamas. I think he meant Hezbollah. These people, man, they're all the same to them. That's what they think. I swear, that's what they think.
Arms against Hezbollah in their own country.
So that's a very beautiful question, because 2 weeks ago, I stood on the border between Israel and Lebanon in a place where you could see that peace can be the most incredible thing there. And I spoke in Arabic to President Aoun, to the government, and of course the people of Lebanon. And I made clear, we do not have any territorial aspirations in Lebanon. We don't have major arguments with Lebanon.
My God, dude, nobody believes this shit. I can't take it. I'm sorry. I got to move on. I mean, I'll let him finish, I guess. But like, this is getting so fucking annoying. Nobody believes this shit.
Peace. And my dream, which I said to the Israeli people as well, is to take a car and drive all the way to Beirut. But for this, you have to get out the terrorists who are trying to undermine it. Hezbollah is objecting to it. Hezbollah has violated the ceasefire that was declared by President Trump a few weeks back, over and over and
I just always say, like, look at the West Bank, okay? Hamas isn't in the West Bank. They successfully purged resistance from the West Bank, and look what has happened to it, okay? It's like an apartheid state where they are slow. There are over 500,000 illegal Israeli settlers living on that land that would be nearly impossible to remove at this point without mass violence, right? Like, that is the only way to remove them at this point, making essentially a two-state solution impossible, which is like the entire reason that they did it, right? That is exactly what would happen. I can't reiterate enough. That is exactly what would happen if Hezbollah didn't exist. Where there is no resistance, there is only Israeli occupation.
over again. We have dozens of casualties. They fired only 50 sites in the last few days. They keep on violating through their terror proxy called Hezbollah, which is a terror organization armed to its neck by Iran. And that's the issue. Guys, I tell the whole world, how the hell do you want to get to peace between Israel and Lebanon when you have Hezbollah hijacking Lebanon? Somebody needs to do the work. Unfortunately, it's our soldiers.
Hezbollah is a resistance organization built of Lebanese citizens, like Lebanese, like, orphans and shit, right? Like, it's no different than Hamas. They are Lebanese people. They are Lebanese. Like, I know that people like to pretend like Hezbollah is some, like, it is solely just like an Iranian proxy or whatever, but proxies aren't, like, they are a proxy, but proxies have their own interests as well. Like, like they have like their own goals and stuff, and they do act in their own manner or on their own accord without Iranian, go ahead or whatever. Like, Iran has influence over them, especially as the senior partner in this relationship, but there's a mutually beneficial relationship there. But anyway, I'm going to move on now. I'm tired of listening to that goober. Okay, let's go ahead and read a quick article about these 5 soldiers that were killed, 13 injured within 2 days. So I assume that means hours after Lebanon's ceasefire announcement. But yeah, we'll see what's going on here. I know that I remember the 4 that were killed the other day, and I think one new person was killed like yesterday or something. But So 4 soldiers, including Klein and Ben Shimon, were killed after an object struck their tank. Sergeant First Class Nir Ben Ari is believed to be the only soldier killed in Hezbollah's overnight attacks. 5 IDF soldiers and 13 were 5 IDF soldiers died and 13 were injured in separate instances in southern Lebanon within 2 days of the Israel-Hezbollah ceasefire being announced. The IDF announced over the weekend the 5 soldiers were killed in 2 separate incidents in southern Lebanon. The military announced on Saturday. 4 names have been released so far, including Lieutenant Colonel Dor Gedalia. Okay, I don't need to read all these Nazis' names, dude. They were killed in combat during Hezbollah's overnight attacks on IDF positions in the buffer zone in southern Lebanon. Easy solution. Don't be in that buffer zone. Get back inside your territory, and you won't have to worry about that shit. On Friday, a projectile struck a tank belonging to 52nd Battalion forces under the Gavati Brigade, who were operating in the area of the village of Tebnit. These people died in the incident, along with 1 other soldier whose name has not yet been cleared for publication. Hezbollah attacks on southern Israel kill 1, injure 13. I think this is the recent operation. Later, Hezbollah attacked IDF positions in the Lebanon buffer zone overnight. Sergeant Ben Ari is believed to be the only soldier killed in the attack, though 13 other soldiers were wounded. In the overnight attacks, Hezbollah launched over 50 projectiles at soldiers in a blatant ceasefire violation, the IDF said. The military responded. I mean, this was also just a response, though, to Israeli incursions and attacks, but the military responded to the attacks with strikes on several Hezbollah terrorists and terror infrastructure sites in southern Lebanon, aka kicking the puppy, killing civilians. The military added, including rocket launch positions, weapon storage facilities, and command centers. Later on Saturday, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Israel Katz told the IDF to hold fire until further notice. The military noted that it remains committed to the ceasefire, emphasizing that it will act to remove any threat posed to the state of Israel and IDF soldiers. In the strikes on Lebanon, at least 20 people were reportedly killed, according to Lebanese authorities. Yeah. Rest in piss, bozos. Enjoy your time in hell. I'm sure you'll love it there. Let's see. And yeah, by the way, this is going to keep happening. Like, Hezbollah's going to keep taking out your fucking soldiers. Okay. Like I said, it'll be a steady stream, 1 or 2 a week, indefinitely, until you decide to finally leave the territory with your tail tucked between your legs, like you always do. Let's see. Let's read one more thing real quick about Trump. So I think that Trump recently has been like, he feels like he has, or like I've heard him on multiple occasions say like, oh, if I, maybe when I retire here, I'm going to go be prime minister of like Israel or something, which I'm like, okay, dude, okay, have fun. You'll fit right in over there, Donald Trump. But yeah, like, so Trump seems to think that he's thought of very highly in Israel, and in some regard, he was for a while. The Israelis, right after, the Israelis are really stupid. Okay, you have to understand this. Like, their populace is very stupid because they are blinded by Zionist rage, and they are not able to understand reality because of that regard. The previous president, Joe Biden, was an ideological Zionist. Okay, he genuinely believed that he wanted the nation state of, like, he would do everything in his power to help the nation state of Israel, like, conquer and take over as much territory as he possibly could. Right. That is what Joe Biden believed, and that is what he was, trying to facilitate throughout his entire presidency, and throughout the entire Gaza genocide, where he allowed Israel to kill as many Palestinian civilians as they possibly could. And he never once stopped them. And so, but the Israelis in their society, they believe that Joe Biden was like holding them back. Like, they legitimately believe that, as opposed to what was obviously happening, which was he was rhetorically doing stuff. Like, he was rhetorically saying that he disapproved of things, solely so that, hey, sorry, my cats were fighting. Solely, so he was disagreeing with them solely for rhetorical purposes for the domestic base, while allowing them to do whatever the fuck they want, which is the smart strategy from if you were, if you were an Israeli, that's what you would want, because you would want him to remain popular at home, but also continue allowing Israel to do as much ethnic cleansing and genocide as possible. That is why he was a better partner for Israel than Donald Trump was. But they don't understand that, right? Again, they're too stupid. They're too blinded by Zionist rage that even when Joe Biden just like rhetorically, said, oh, you got to stop killing those civilians, Jack, or whatever the fuck he said. Like, even when he would say that rhetorically, they would they would rise up into a Zionist rage and be like, he sucks, we hate him, we want him out. And then when Donald Trump came in, they were like, yes, finally we got the guy who's going to let us do whatever the fuck we want. And they were right. Donald Trump did let them do whatever the fuck they wanted, until he got met with the actual reality of the limits of American power when it comes to what Israel always wanted. Israel always wanted America to go into war with Iran, do a full ground occupation and destabilize them. Now, Israel didn't care if in the long run that was going to be a failure. Israel didn't care if in the long run that was going to be another Afghanistan situation that bled America trillions of dollars or whatever, right? And like tens of thousands of American lives. They didn't give a shit about that. They just wanted Iran to be destabilized and removed as a threat for, 10, 20 years, however long the occupation would last. That was their goal. But like, so they thought like, okay, finally, we got the guy who's going to let us do whatever we wanted. But then it turns out Iran was capable of resisting, and Iran was capable of holding the global energy supply hostage. And obviously that then imposes real material limits on what America is able to do. And now many maybe committed ideological Zionists like Joe Biden may have then fallen down the trap of occupation, of like, being like, well, I guess we got to occupy them. It's the only way we're going to open up the Strait of Hormuz militarily. That would definitely be what the general blob think would do. And that was what I originally thought was going to happen at the beginning of this, conflict, of the hot war, that Trump would end up falling down that trap as well. But Trump is different because he is such a narcissist and only cares about himself. He sometimes does things that are different than the general blob think, and the deep state would usually end up doing the path of least resistance, like to what the neocons and neoliberals and the hawks all want, right? And so he ended up being like, this is too much pain. I'm getting ragged. Everybody hates this. I'm out. And so he just unilateral. It's like, okay, we're done. Memorandum of understanding signed. We're done. And then all of a sudden, the Israelis are so confused. They're like, wait, what? And so now they're starting to turn on Trump. So anyway, I guess that's a very long preamble to this article, but I wanted to kind of give a little bit of the my understanding of what the Israelis how stupid and wrong they are all the time, are unable to see reality because of their ideological commitment to fascism. So anyway, I wanted to go ahead and read this article. Trump claims he can control the IDF actions in Lebanon because Israelis respect him. I got news for you. As soon as you start doing saying actual you got to stop or whatever, they will just stop respecting you, or they will just ignore you and continue doing their war crimes. They're a country that is unable to exist without doing war crimes 24/7. Let's see. Nonetheless, Israel said to rebuff private U.S. requests to withdraw from Lebanon. President says relationship with Netanyahu is good, but we have to keep him a little bit sane. U.S. President Donald Trump said this week that he would be able to keep Israel from launching new attacks in Lebanon because the country has a lot of respect for him, thanks to his previous policies regarding the Islamic Republic of Iran. Trump was asked during an interview with Axios, which was taped on Thursday and aired Friday, whether he'd be able to control Israel from attacking Lebanon. Of course he's able to. Will he, is the question. Again, it is just one phone call. That's all you got to do is one phone call. We are no longer offering any military support to you whatsoever until you retreat from Lebanon. That's all it takes. One phone call. Israel can't exist. Israel cannot exist in its current formation without unlimited amounts of resources coming from America. They are just straight up an extension of America. They are not a sovereign country. They are just America's little baby America over in the Middle East. As Washington and Jerusalem have publicly disagreed about the decision of the the decision to tie Israel's offensive against Hezbollah to the controversial memorandum of understanding between the U.S. and Iran. Unfortunately, you don't get to say that because Iran is the one who won the war, so they get to dictate the terms. Yeah, I will be, the president responded. They have a lot of respect for me. And they do as I say. He added, recalling how he pulled the U.S. out of the 2015 Iran nuclear deal orchestrated by the Obama administration, and which Jerusalem opposed, and how he authorized a major attack on Iran's 3 main nuclear sites during Israel's 12-day war with Tehran last June. Yeah, it's funny. It's so funny. Israel is literally in the process of getting everything that they've ever wanted. They've succeeded so much in terms of manipulating America to do what they want that it's literally backfiring now. And this is where, if you look at historically, right? If you look at fascist ideologies, people say fascism is a self-destructive ideology. It will always inevitably destroy itself. It's impossible for it not to. And these are the types of things that happen when fascism starts destroying itself. Is they are so successful in convincing America to do what they want that they don't they don't have the strategic thought of what does this imply? What happens if we lose? What happens if America doesn't do what we want? What position would that put us in? You're unable to think through clearly think through different circumstances of what could happen and make a rational decision once as you dive deeper and deeper into fascism. Trump has fumed over the scope of Israel's attacks in Lebanon in recent days, insisting they have hampered efforts to reach and maintain an agreement with Iran. Israel has agreed to refrain from attacking Beirut in response to that U.S. anger, but has kept its troops in a large buffer zone in southern Lebanon, which would appear to violate the terms of the deal that the U.S. reached with Iran, given that the agreement states that all military operations in Lebanon must cease. It also just straight up says you must maintain Lebanon's territorial integrity. The deal signed by Trump and his Iranian counterpart Mossad Pezeshkian aims to end a conflict that began on February 28th with U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran, calling for a cessation of fighting. Yeah, we already know all that. Israel had no part in negotiating the deal, and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has distanced himself from it. Still, the terms of the opening clause, permanently ending the war and ruling out any resumption, indicate that it is binding on the U.S., Iran, and their allies. Israeli officials are bitterly opposed to the deal's terms, which resolve none of the war's key goals, notably eliminating Iran's nuclear and ballistic missile program and creating the conditions for the fall of the regime. They're just saying it out in the open. Trump keeps saying that that was never a part of it, but anybody with half a brain understands that that was the original goal, was for the fall of the regime. Separately from the U.S.-Iran deal, a U.S. official announced a truce between Israel and Hezbollah on Friday that ostensibly began at 4 p.m. local time. Although Israeli and Hezbollah sources later confirmed the agreement to Reuters, both sides continued to exchange fire on Friday evening and Saturday, with each blaming the other for violating the ceasefire. In response to the continued IDF presence in Lebanon and attacks on Tehran's Hezbollah proxy, Iran announced on Saturday that it was once again closing the Strait of Hormuz, although as of Saturday evening, the U.S. has yet to publicly call on Israel to pull its forces out of Lebanon. That may happen if the global economy gets gets bad enough. But I don't know. We'll see. U.S. official. I still don't feel like America is so captured. It doesn't seem able to actually impose any real cost on Israel. It's insane. It's insane. Other previous presidents have imposed cost on Israel to say, you got to stop this or we're out. We're no longer supporting you militarily. Previous presidents have done that. But America just seems unable to do that right now. And I think, honestly, it's because America is in a diminished, weakened position as a global power. It is clear to everybody that America's time as the world empire and as the world police is coming to an end. And so I think that, because it doesn't have the strength and fortitude that it used to, it is able to be influenced and is unable to make strategic decisions in a way that were strong and powerful in the way that they used to. And now they're just like, just being similar to how Trump, the last person in the room, whatever they say is what he does. It's kind of like America is like that too. It feels like America is just unable to even stand up for itself at this point. U.S. officials were said to have privately made the request but were rebuffed in what would be a direct contradiction to Trump's claim that Jerusalem does what he wants regarding Lebanon. The U.S. president was also asked by Axios about his relationship with Netanyahu, to which he responded that it was good, but we have to keep him a little bit sane. The relationship between the two leaders has appeared increasingly strained. Yeah. I mean, it's just Brandonification, man. He's becoming Biden. It's all like the Trump's second term is just like Brandonification, the movie. It's just him slowly morphing into Joe Biden. So it has appeared increasingly strained ever since the U.S. imposed a ceasefire on Israel amid the fighting with Iran in April, with Trump notably calling him fucking crazy and saying he has no fucking judgment, among other things, but he has also praised their relationship, calling it very good and unbelievable. On Friday, the U.S. president once again appeared to attempt to calm tensions with the Israeli leader. We fought very well with Israel, and we've had a great relationship with Israel, Trump said in remarks at the unveiling of a new Air Force One plane gifted to the United States by Qatar. Renewing the weeks of fighting against Iran, Trump touted Washington's Gulf allies for fighting with us, as well as warrior Prime Minister Netanyahu. They should give him credit, he said of Netanyahu. We really fought hard with Israel. But just a day later, he shared an article on his Truth Social account headline, Trump holds the cards in Netanyahu's shaky re-election chances. He didn't provide any additional commentary, but appeared to enjoy the article's conclusion that he is the one who controls Netanyahu's fate. Indeed, on Thursday, Trump told Israel's Khan public broadcaster that while he will most likely endorse Netanyahu in the Israeli elections later this year, he wants to see who else is running against him first. I've also been reading a lot about back channel discussions of them reaching out to to opposition figures to see if they will, to potentially back them instead. I'm highly skeptical, though, that they're going to actually do that. I don't know. It doesn't really matter either way either. Like everybody, all of his opposition is outflanking Netanyahu from the right. Like they're all saying Netanyahu has failed, like because he didn't go hard enough, or because he didn't manipulate the American public hard enough, or because he didn't kill enough civilians in Gaza, or he didn't kill enough civilians in Lebanon. Like they're all outflanking him from the right. It's the nature of the future, whatever future government, whether it's Netanyahu or somebody else, is going to be more barbaric and more brutal. That's basically guaranteed. There is no anti-war constituency inside of Israel. Everybody in Israel thinks that Israel needs to be in a permanent state of war forever going forward. And we'll see how long that lasts. Maybe they can handle that sort of like forever war mentality for, decades. I don't know. But that does seem like where Israel is going. It's different for them than for our forever wars, though, because our forever wars were over there, right? We didn't have to think about them that much. Their forever wars are like they're waging forever wars on every single one of their borders constantly. That, I think, will have a much bigger impact on the public in the long run. But anyway. Indeed, on Thursday, Trump told Israel's public broadcaster that while he will I already read that. I'll have to look at who's running, but I like Bibi very much, he said. I would be most likely to endorse him. Netanyahu's most formidable opponents at the moment appear to be former IDF chief of staff and Yasher party chief Gadi Eisenkot and former prime minister and Together party chief Naftali Bennett. Trump's remarks came after an Israeli news report earlier this week alleged Netanyahu's Likud party had shelved a planned election campaign, highlighting the premier's ties to Trump as it was determined that it would do him no favors amid domestic fallout over the U.S.-Iran deal. And indeed, a poll published by Channel 12 on Thursday found that just 13% of Israelis trust Trump to look out for their interests of the Jewish state, while 71% said they did not believe he would. The poll also found, this is like a complete flip, by the way. I think it used to be that they all loved Trump. Like, I thought they thought he was like God's gift to Israel. The poll also found that 52% of people believe Netanyahu's conduct harmed Israeli interests and the U.S.-Iran agreement, while 24% felt it helped, and 24% said they didn't know. Again, this is the problem. They're not even able to understand that they are victims of their own success, that they shouldn't have ever done this in the first place. They shouldn't have ever convinced America to go to war with Iran in the first place, because as soon as you play that card of America going to war with Iran, you can't play it again. Now it's set. Everybody knows America cannot defeat Iran militarily, and because of that, America is going to be very unlikely to ever try again. You should have waited, if you were going to do this, until you got a true ideological committed Zionist in office, like Biden or somebody. Then you might have been able to actually convince them to do a ground occupation, which may have ended up working out better for you. Even then, I'm not really sure, though. That's all just hypotheticals. I think that's all for Iran. I've been on it for like an hour. I need to move on. I had something about Iraq as well, but I'm going to just move on. I got to get to some other stuff. So, yeah, I mean, that's the current situation in Iran. So let's go ahead and move on to DSA and the commie takeover of the Democratic Party. I wish, man. I wish. Okay, I think that my voice is a little tired. I was going to read this to start with, but I think I'm going to actually have to start with a video so that I don't have to talk so much. Like while my voice recovers. So I got a couple videos here. We're going to start with this one on the polling relating to democratic socialism. I think this is Harry Enton, everybody's favorite polling autist, who is going to tell us the current situation when it comes to DSA candidates.
Socialists seem to be doing considerably better than they used to be, and they have the chance to knock off, in fact, Democratic incumbents in Congress. And part of the reason for that, why we're seeing these Democratic socialists having such good chances or outright winning nominations, is take a look here. Net favorability among Dems. Democratic Socialists of America, look at that. a plus 17-point net favorability rating among Democrats. That is actually better. That is better than how congressional.
Yeah, let's get those numbers up, people, and let's get these congressional Democrat numbers down. I mean, that's not really our job. The Democratic Party in and of itself is going to continue bringing those numbers down by being ineffective, weak, corporate-backed, anti, they're not even they're just rolling over whenever Trump does anything, not doing it even their modicum of resistance that they had in the first Trump. These numbers are going to go down on their own, but we need to get these numbers up even higher, people.
Democrats are viewed by Democrats at just plus 4 points. So no wonder that Democratic Socialists have such a good chance, because simply put, they're a better brand at this point than.
Yeah, and it by the way, in a real parliamentary system where we didn't have just a dual party system that makes it impossible to have power sharing amongst various blocks or groups, the only avenue currently is to continue building power within the Democratic Party. Whether that stays in the Democratic Party, as a takeover, or that eventually breaks off into a third party that has enough momentum to overtake the Democratic Party. I don't know where this all shakes out, but I do think the strategy of taking over the Democratic Party right now, or at least building power through that, is probably the right strategy.
And Democrats in Congress.
Among Democrats, it's interesting to see who they like more. All right, and you've used this number before. I always find this fascinating. When you compare socialism to capitalism, how are they doing right now?
Yeah, how are they doing right now among Democrats? You see this Democratic Socialist America more positive than congressional Democrats. And I'll tell you, take a look at the trend line, the favorable rating among Democrats on socialism and. Look at this. In 2010, they were about equal.
Nice.
50% had a favorable view of socialism. 51% said the same about capitalism. But capitalism has absolutely fallen through the floor.
Yeah.
Look at this. It's now just 42% of Democrats who have a favorable view.
Look. That's not just that is okay. There's some responsibility for DSA going out there, governing effectively, messaging effectively, and providing themselves as we are going to fight back against Trump. That is a portion of it, but the other portion that we cannot disconnect from this as to why these numbers are going the way that they're going is because the people's material conditions are getting worse every fucking day, and people understand that. Okay, even libs are understanding that, and even well-off libs who are generally fine, maybe top 10-20% or whatever, are I don't like the way this is going, just from I think they're starting to make a connection between people's material conditions being below the floor, and the rise of fascism and the rise of Trumpian MAGA politics or whatever. People are finally starting to understand that there's a direct correlation between those two. And so even the people who are well off but consider themselves liberal are well, we need to do something, right? We got to do something to fix this. And so they're starting to lean towards socialism, but they would never, a lot of people don't, I'm going to say it. I always have to reiterate. The average American, even the average liberal, does not even understand what socialism is. They are all just buzzwords. They are buzzwords. When it comes to conservatives, they say socialism, communism, Marxism. They say it all interchangeably, and they are all just buzzwords for we hate that thing. They're just cultural buzzwords. When it comes to liberals, they hear socialism or they hear democratic socialism and they think social democracy. Honestly, most of them do. They think Norway and stuff, or these Nordic countries that have robust social safety nets, but still operate under a capitalist mode of production. The only people who really know what socialism actually is and how it relates to capitalism are, I think, the actual socialists, or at least the anti-capitalists, or the people who have read enough about it. Also, by the way, I think the other people who know what socialism is are the hyper-capitalists, the people, the hyper-wealthy people with class consciousness who are, like the Peter Thiels and stuff, like who are organizing society. I think that they understand what socialism is and why it's like why they are afraid of it, generally speaking, as well. But yeah, anyway, that was just a little diatribe. But yeah, this is nice. This is nice. Get these numbers down. Get these numbers up. The commification of the wine mom is beginning. They are all of the wine moms. They are coming out and they're being like, "Give me a sickle. Give me give me a torch and a sickle. We will go burn down. We will go burn down the landlords' houses and stuff." Like that's what they're saying.
Of capitalism. Socialism, on the other hand, up like a rocket. Look at this. 2 in 3 Democrats have a favorable view of socialism. So socialism is on the rise among Democrats. Capitalism is on the decline among Democrats. And again, this is part of the longer-term trend in which we are seeing Democratic socialists doing considerably better among Democrats, electing a mayor right here in New York City, for example.
And as we said, there are primaries next week with Democratic socialists, self-proclaimed, on the ballot. What are the prediction markets saying about how they may do?
Yeah, this to me is one of the more stunning trends, right, that I have seen in covering politics over the last 15, 16 years. And if you believe the prediction markets, it's not going to just stop suddenly. It may extend into next week, because just take a look at the chance that Democratic socialists win in Dem primaries, House primaries here in New York. You go to New York 7th District, right? You got a Brooklyn borough president who at this point looks like an underdog compared to a Democratic socialist. And then you may get a Democratic incumbent in Northern Manhattan get knocked off. That's closer to a 50-50 race. But the bottom line is this.
So those are the prediction markets. And we'll see what the actual polling is. I don't know if they've done too much polling yet. I'll have to, maybe I can find something on the side, but yeah, this is very exciting. They're going after incumbents, like people with like local name recognition and stuff. So
Manhattan
like,
get knocked.
Let's just hope. Yeah, let's hope that they win. We need to keep this momentum going.
That's closer to a 50-50 race. But the bottom line is this. Next week in New York may be a very good one for Democratic Socialists. Mayor Mamdani endorsing them. His political star is rising, and he may bring a few Democratic Socialists along with him and put them in a Congress.
I think you have to give respect to the people in the DSA movement, the Democratic Socialist movement. They've been winning elections around the country. You see that happen in New York. We just saw it happen in Washington, D.C. We saw a congressional race in New Jersey where nobody saw that coming. So you're looking around the country and you're seeing the...
Before we get into this analysis by, CNN and stuff, let me go back. I just want to read this article. My voice is feeling a little bit better now. Okay. This is from Washington Post. Democracy dies in darkness. What a... Oh, dude, no, democracy dies when your company gets owned or gets bought by fucking Jeff Bezos. Like, that's what it should say. Mamdani brought pro-Palestinian views to City Hall. Now he wants to bring them to Congress. Across New York, candidates backed by Mayor Zohran Mamdani are challenging incumbents they say are not progressive enough on Israel and the war on Gaza. Let's see. This is by Teo Armus. New York. Zohran Mamdani sent shockwaves last year when he was elected mayor of the country's most Jewish city while accusing Israel of genocide. But a year after, like, this is so fucking, like, I'm not gonna lie. I find this sort of like assumption that Jews are, like, American Jews are always going to side with Israel to be, like, incredibly anti-Semitic. Jews are not a monolith, okay? they are not a monolith. Some of them like Israel, some of them don't. Some of them like Israel, but they care more about their local domestic politics than any of the Israel shit. There's all types of Jews out there, and they don't all love Israel. You fucking, I don't want to call him an anti-Semite, but this is a very anti-Semitic assumption to think. But a year after his insurgent win in the Democratic primary for City Hall, the new mayor and the movement that brought him to that job are looking to that critique to a place with far more say over Middle East policy, Congress. I will join you in that fight to end occupation, apartheid, and genocide. Brad Lander, the former city comptroller and a candidate for the House. Brad Lander is an interesting person because he used to be a member of Democratic Socialists of America until October 7th. that's where like I'm a little bit like I don't know, like because the Democratic Socialists of America were out on October 8th. They were out there protesting, like ready to go, because everybody who understands Israel knew what was going to happen, knew exactly what Israel was going to do. And Brad Lander, he decided to leave the DSA at that point in time because I guess he was, too scared of their radical language or whatever, right? But like, so that gives me a little bit of hesitancy about Brad Lander personally. I mean, I think he's, generally speaking, I trust Zoran more. And if he's going to back him, then, and maybe his opinion has changed since then. I don't know. But like, I sometimes I'm like, I don't know. Like, you got mad at people from saying from the river to the sea, really? I mean, come on. Anyway, Brad Lander, the former city comptroller and a candidate for the House, said at a rally over the weekend at a Brooklyn park, standing shoulder to shoulder with Mamdani and a Palestinian activist, "We're going to keep building on that politics that we built last year when we elected Zoran Mayer. Voters here will weigh that proposition in a Democratic primary Tuesday in which Lander is challenging Representative Dan Goldman. It is one of several races that offers a window into how sharply the Democratic Party's voters are turning against Israel. It's a 90-10 issue. Get on the right side if you want to win, which until recently enjoyed broad bipartisan support. Public opinion among Democrats in the U.S. more broadly has been shifting toward Palestinian sympathies." Okay, let me just pull it up. Democratic Party opinions on Israel polling, because we got to know the real numbers here if we're going to have a real analysis. Where's man, I'm trying to find just a simple poll. This one had like a whole bunch of polls. Democrat. Okay, let's see. Here's one, I guess. 8 in 10 Democrats and Democratic-leaning independents currently have an unfavorable view of Israel, up from 69% last year and 53% in 2022. Democrats under 50 are slightly more likely than older Democrats to say they have a very unfavorable view of Israel. Americans' views of Israel are sharply divided by party. Percent who have a very somewhat unfavorable opinion of Israel. Out of total, lean Dem is 80%. And when you get down into the younger ages, it's like, 85%. So, I mean, I've heard the number 90 somewhere, and there may be particular polls that show it at 90, but at the very least, it's an 80-20 issue. So, anyway, because I just think this language doesn't do it justice. More broadly has been shifting toward Palestinian sympathy. It hasn't been shifting. It's been completely upended, right? And Lander and other leftist candidates are challenging incumbents whom they accuse of being too cozy with Israel's powerful U.S. lobby or of otherwise failing to speak out against the war in Gaza. And they're doing so. And there's a reason that we're doing this, right? There's a reason that we're asking everybody what they think about Gaza. There's a reason that we're asking, like, we need to know this information. It's because if you are not willing to stand up against powerful interests for genocide, then you're not going to be willing to stand up for powerful interests for fucking anything. We need to know your answer to this question so that we know, because like the Israel lobby is going to turn on you immediately if you even say these words, right? Even if you like behind the scenes are like, oh, well, we're going to actually we're gonna like govern in a way that's pro-Israel, but we have to say these words because it's convenient. Even if you say those words, they're going to turn on you, and that's exactly why we need people to say them so that we know whether you will be willing to actually stand up against powerful interests. Let me zoom in just a little bit, make it a little easier for people to read. Okay. And they're doing so with the backing of Mamdani, who is putting his political capital on the line as he boosts them in rallies and Knicks-themed ads as the city's team. That's awesome, man. Mamdani has been so incredible. I love that he is. This is what we wanted him to do, right? For being as popular of a mayor as he is, to take that popularity and then use it to actually funnel people into progressive politics and get people, just like helping out the cause after the fact, like that, like after he's actually elected and in power. Like that's awesome. It's the first major test of the durability and power of left progressive power in New York City, said Evan Roth-Smith, a Democratic strategist in New York. The districts in contention cut across demographic, geographic, and class lines. Goldman, a former prosecutor who helped lead the first investigation and impeachment trial against President Donald Trump, and Lander, who cross-endorsed Mamdani when they were both seeking the mayoral nomination, are both Jews who call themselves liberal Zionists. But they differ on what that means, with Lander saying Goldman's views, including support for limited military aid for Israel, aren't progressive enough. No such thing as liberal Zionism. You can't be a liberal Zionist. It's like being like people say it all the time. It's like being like a liberal Nazi, a liberal fascist, like a liberal MAGA. Like, you know, like it doesn't exist. It's not a thing. You can't. It's those two things are diametrically opposed. Further uptown, Representative Adriano Espaillat, the influential Congressional Hispanic Caucus chair, is facing a similar line of criticism from Daria Liza Avila Chevalier, a doctoral student who participated in pro-Palestinian encampment at Columbia University, rad as hell, love it, and who has slammed the congressman for taking money from AIPAC. There's less division in a third race to replace the retiring Rep. Nydia M. Velazquez, but the issue is being used there too. State Assemblywoman Claire Valdez has pointed out that she accused Israel of carrying out a genocide well before her opponent, Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso, and falsely suggested last week he was receiving funding from an AIPAC shell group. You'll have to prove it. You'll have to prove that it was a false accusation. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying AIPAC has gotten really good at hiding their money of where it's coming from. So, you know, I would have to see your evidence as to whether that's an actual false assumption. Scott Stringer, a former Manhattan borough president who has endorsed Espaillat and Goldman, said he is concerned about how a heavy focus on Israel and AIPAC across the primaries might inflame hatred. If you point out the truth, and you point out, you know, that AIPAC is funding to try to help get MAGA and Republicans elected, it's going to inflame hatred. You're not allowed to tell the truth, everybody. You must lie. Everybody must lie. We must all indulge in these people's fantasies. Otherwise, it might inflame hatred. How about, you know what really inflames hatred? AIPAC spending. How about we just get rid of that shit then? How about we just, you know, if you don't want to inflame this hatred, how about we get rid of AIPAC in its entirety? How about we get rid of foreign lobbies in their entirety? How about that? You want to do that instead? We can do that instead if you want. I'm fine with that, personally. I'm fine with that. That'd be a very easy way to get rid of this problem that you have, that reality is causing hatred of a demographic because these groups, AIPAC, have been trying to tie Jews to the nation state of Israel for the past 3 years. They've been doing that. I've been trying to stop that. I've been trying to decouple that this entire time, and they've been tying them together. It's fucking infuriating, man. Especially when they involve accusations of Jewish financial influence and anti-Semitic trope. Stringer is reportedly involved in PAC spending against some of Mamdani's endorsed candidates. Look, here's the problem, okay? You can't get mad at reality. You can't get mad at reality, okay? The reality is that there are Jewish groups that are not for Jewish people or for Jewish interests, but are for the nation state of Israel. There are plenty of them, okay? And they are the ones who are causing this problem, who are inflaming this hatred by not being what they say they are, okay? A lot of these groups would not in any way stand for, like, I don't know, a Jewish Voice for Peace or something. They would not recognize left-wing Jews who are against Israel's occupation as like real Jews. They are anti-Semitic in that way. So you can't just be mad at reality, okay? You need to fix the actual problem that is, I'm not saying that it's not causing hatred, but I'm saying the problem is that they are not actually Jewish groups, that they are pro-Israel groups LARPing as Jewish groups. That's what I'm trying to say here. Anyway, that paragraph or sentence made me angry. There's a fine line between a foreign policy discussion and just demonizing the Jewish community, said Stringer, who is Jewish. They're going to do and say anything to win, regardless of the long-term ramifications of the city. You just want right-wingers and MAGA people to win. That's all. Like, that's all, man. Let's not even pretend anymore. Lander said he is uncomfortable too, but the Democratic base doesn't want to keep paying for genocide, he said in an interview. Megan Marr, a 34-year-old consultant, stumbled upon Lander's Brooklyn rally with Mamdani and the Palestinian activist Mohsen Maudawi. Marr was already planning to vote for Lander, she said, because she admired his role as a Jewish voice for solidarity to end military aid to Israel. It's at a point where we can't look at it anymore and not see the political power that AIPAC has and its far-reaching implications, she said. Around here, volunteers at the rally wore t-shirts with messages both metaphorical, "We have friends everywhere," and literal, "Stop arming Israel." Landers, standing on top of a picnic table, cited a line from the Polish Jewish lawyer Raphael Lumpkin, who coined the term genocide. "Never again" means never again to anyone. Don't say that to Israelis, though. They do not agree. A 45-minute subway ride away, a Villa Chevalier has been invoking a very different story as she seeks to topple Espaillat, a former Dominican-American who became the first formerly undocumented person elected to Congress. What a fucking shame, dude. Espaillat, Jesus Christ, dude. He's been out there like being like pro-ICE and shit, man. It's insane. You're being pro-ICE as a fucking former undocumented immigrant. I didn't even know that's what background he came from. That's crazy. Lander's downtown Manhattan and Brooklyn district is one of the wealthiest in the country. Espaillat's district, which covers part of the Bronx and uptown Manhattan neighborhoods like Harlem and Washington Heights, is one of the poorest. Ross Smith, the Democratic strategist, said that voters in these less affluent Black and Latino neighborhoods care more about social services than Middle East policy. Most people do. Most people do. Like, the Middle East policy is a indicator to people. Like, do you remember that moment on the debate stage where they went down the line for Zoran, like while Zoran was in the debate for mayor? They went down the line and like all four other people said, like the question was, where are you going to go once you are mayor? Like, what country are you going to visit? And one by one, they said, Israel, 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 Israel. And then Zoran says, I'm going to stay right here. Do you know why that was so popular for everyone? Not even just lefties or whatever. Like, everyone loved that shit because it showed that he actually was not going to just go along with what the entrenched interests and corporate lobby wanted. That was why it was so important. Same here. When we talk about Middle East policy, we're not just talking about Middle East policy. We're using that as a bellwether to then indicate how you are going to govern when it comes to domestic policy as well. But Avila Chevalier has managed to weave the two together in her indictment of Espaillat, whom she notes has taken more than $350,000 from AIPAC over his 5 terms in office. The group has also contributed heavily on a super PAC attacking her. A former organizing lead on Mamdani's campaign, Avila Chevalier spent a summer in the West Bank in college and filmed her initial campaign videos wearing a keffiyeh, the scarf often used to signify solidarity with the Palestinians in Gaza. That's awesome, man. She's a real one, dude. She's 100% a real one. Handing out flyers on one morning last week, and she pointed to a line on her campaign pamphlet, "Babies, not bombs," and the argument that money spent on wars could be better spent on social services. I mean, that's just reality. That's not really an argument. that's what we have to choose what we spend money on. Maria Rodriguez, a 70-year-old mother of 5 pushing a cart to the grocery store, told Avila Chevalier in Spanish that she was most worried about immigration enforcement, but she didn't like the war in Gaza either. "I don't want to see any more people get attacked or bombed," Rodriguez said. "It's horrible." Espaillat and his allies have at times dismissed his opponent's focus on foreign policy as the views of a transplant who is not in touch with the needs of longtime working class residents. The district home to large Dominican, Puerto Rico, and African American neighborhoods has been gentrifying from the arrival of the younger, wider college-educated voters who overwhelmingly backed Mamdani in last year's mayoral election. "I have been in the neighborhood all along," Espaillat said in a debate last week. Esbayat has tried to flip Avila Chevalier's activism against her, calling attention to her presence at a controversial pro-Palestine DSA rally in October 2023, the day after Hamas attacked Israel. How's that going to work, man? Everybody knows that they were right at this point. And he also criticized her for a series of off-color comments that Avila Chevalier made on her since-deleted Twitter account, including one that said, "Fuck Kamala Harris." That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. And others calling President Joe Biden a rapist and a war criminal. Also awesome. Genocide Joe. That's how he will be always remembered in my brain. She apologized to Harris during a recent televised debate and said that her views have evolved since posting them. Look. You got to be careful when you throw out apologies, okay? You really do. Apologies will always be viewed as weakness. That's just the nature of I guess the human condition, or at least the human condition under current material realities. Apologies are always going to be viewed as weakness. You should save them for the things that you, well, not save them. I shouldn't say that. You should only say them if you truly are sorry. You should never say them as a capitulation, okay? So I get a little worried when people do that. You don't want to do that. It's not good politics. Like, it's not going to help you to apologize for this. Goldman, for his part, didn't mention Israel at a rally outside City Hall on the first day of early voting. He said in an interview at a coffee shop afterward that the issue has taken on a far outsized role in his primary race compared to how much time he might spend on the matter in Congress. Like I said, it's a bellwether. It's not about it. When we talk about foreign policy, it's not just about foreign policy. It's counterproductive to get distracted by legal terms and buzzwords, he said. This is a very complicated issue and has been for decades, and it can't be boiled down to one word or one term. Spoken like somebody who is truly going to maintain the power of Israel and AIPAC once he gets to Congress. Although Goldman has sworn off AIPAC money, some Lander supporters have attacked him from taking funds from a shell group that shares many of its donors with that PAC. A line of criticism that, along with the genocide label, worries Goldman, he says. Why? Anti-Semitic incidents have sharply risen over the last 3 years, and Jews remain a very small part of the American population, a reality that meant Jews need to be protected more than ever. We need allies, but we're certainly not going to get them if we play into the divisiveness and the stereotypes. My God, dude. These same people who have been constantly saying that every baby that Israel kills in Gaza was done on behalf of the Jewish population. Like, these same fucking people are out here saying this shit, and it fucking pisses me off. You do not care, man. You do not care. He accused Lander of pushing a wedge issue while not fully embracing an alliance with Avila Chevalier, who has appeared in ads and a rally with Lander and Mamdani. After the congressman got up and left, a coffee shop patron sitting nearby came up to a reporter. "Was that Dan Goldman?" Stacey Quo said. Stacey Quo asked. "I've seen his ads on TV," but Quo said they didn't convince her. Her beloved mayor, she said, had endorsed Lander. Thank you, Mamdani. Mamdani, crushing it. Love it. I was hoping there would be a little bit more cope in this one from Washington Post, but really the cope only just came from how they, how they decided to like phrase things and stuff on this particular one. Man, it's already an hour and 40. Okay. Well, let's go ahead. Let's watch no, I'm gonna move on. I'm sorry. There's more Fox. No. There's more Fox News freak out about this sort of stuff, but I think that I'm just gonna have to move on because I gotta get to the next stories. Yeah, it opens at 10. I'll be going after this. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so we're going to go into a story that I don't really know that much about now. We're going to talk about baseball. Now, I like baseball, okay, people? I do like to go to the occasional Cardinals game. I'm a St. Louis boy. I'm not like, I always tell people, I'm not really like a sports guy in that I don't memorize the people's names. I don't like, I mean, I know the main, the people who get a lot of attention, I guess. I don't like know all the numbers. I don't, I'm more engaged. I engage with sports as a way to, as like a social, a socializing opportunity, essentially. It's not really like one of my passions or interests. So anyway, all that being said, I guess I don't have a ton of, like, what's the word? Like, I guess I don't have as much investment in sports as, other people might. So you can take that into account whenever I'm covering this story. But anyway, apparently there's something going on right now. It's Pride Month, by the way. I don't know if people know that. Happy Pride. Happy Pride to all my gay, queer, trans, NB, all the rest, all my fellow brothers, sisters, and MBsters out there. We're going to read an article, I guess, that is tangentially related to Pride. So this article is titled, Why is Baseball Having a Gay Meltdown? Which I thought is an incredible title. Great titling. Analysis by Hannah Kaiser. So let's go ahead and read this, and we'll see what this story is about. Because all I know is that they had like Pride Night hats, I think, and somebody put Bible verses on them. So that's all I know. So let's see what's going on. Why are people so mad right now? It feels like everyone's mad all the time now. Can't we all just get along? Let's find out. Last Friday night, the Giants hosted a Pride Night at their ballpark. 29 of the 30 MLB teams, the Texas Rangers are the exception, include Pride Nights. Oh, I didn't know. I assumed that every place had Pride Nights. Like St. Louis has a Pride Night. I didn't know. The Texas Rangers, oof. That's a big oof right there. In the year of our Lord 2026, not having a Pride Night. Just one night, man. It's just one night. You can deal with it. I promise you, everything will be okay. Anyway, 29 of the 30 MLB teams, the Texas Rangers are the exception, include Pride Nights among their slate of themed games designed to attract different segments of the fan base. Ideally, these events are to show that gay fans are welcome at the ballpark, and of course, to sell more tickets. Of course, corporate pride. It is what it is, people. The vast majority of teams keep the symbolism and celebrations off the field. The Giants are one of two teams who extend the iconography onto the players' uniforms with rainbow-colored logos on their caps. This year, 3 pitchers on the Giants, including that night starter Landon Roop, appeared to protest the spirit of the symbolism. Let me take a drink real quick. Roop wrote Genesis 9:12-16 on his hat, a reference to a Bible verse about rainbows, recasting the design as a reference not to pride, but to God's covenant with the living after the flood. The others added similar biblical messages. Okay, this is one thing that is so funny to me. When these like reactionary Christians, they try to like reclaim the rainbow, I guess. And I always think, I don't know, every time I hear it, I'm like, I think it's so funny because it's been so co-opted by like gay culture as like a gay iconography at this point in time. That like all of these same like Christians, whenever they see a rainbow flag or something, they tear it down and they throw it, like they want to like throw it on the ground or burn it and shit. And so it's always funny to me whenever they try to like reclaim that. I don't know. It would be like, I don't know. I guess it's not like an oppressive force. So never mind. I don't have a good analogy. But yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. Maybe this wasn't. Maybe he wasn't trying to protest the spirit of it. Maybe he was expanding it. Maybe that's what he was doing. Maybe this Roop guy, he was trying to make it like, okay, gay people love the rainbow, but also God loves the rainbow. Can't we all just get along? Like maybe it's something like that. Or maybe, okay, I know what he was trying to do. He was saying that God is actually gay because God has the rainbow. He's doing this on Pride Night, which is, proud of being gay. So he's saying that that God is gay. That's what he's probably saying. I think that's it. I get it now. I get it. Let's see. Recasting the design is a reference not to pride, but to God's covenant with the living after the flood. The others added similar biblical messages. That's just kind of something I believe in, and I stand firm in that. And I'm thankful we live in a country where, let me do my good old boy accent, actually. That's just kind of something I believe in, and I stand firm in that. And I'm thankful we live in a country where, we had the freedom to believe what we want and express what we want, is what Roop told reporters after the game. Yeah, like believing that God is gay, just like pride. I agree. The pitchers received a warning from MLB about violating uniform rules. Some uproar ensued, eventually inspiring Trump administration officials and Missouri Senator Josh Hawley. Oh, my senator, no, not again. I always get jump scared by my senator because he's never doing anything fucking good. So to accuse MLB of discriminating against Christian players. Dude, I swear to God, man. I swear to God. These are the same people who would think it would be it's discrimination to like force like white people to also go to the same school as black people. You know what I'm saying? To like stop to stop like white people from like being like intentionally segregated from black people or whatever. Like they would be like, it's actually you're discriminating against my belief that that we should be allowed to discriminate. It's so funny, man. It's crazy. Major League Baseball doesn't get to police the beliefs of individual players. Sure, you can believe whatever you want. And they haven't done so in the case of San Francisco Giants, who objected to their pride, and they haven't done so in the case of the San Francisco Giants, who objected to their pride uniforms. So this is a confusing sentence. Doesn't get to police the beliefs of individual players, and they haven't done so. So they haven't policed the beliefs, is what they're saying here. Roop is correct. He is allowed, in the sense that he will not face any legal ramifications, to express himself in that way. His employer, MLB, is allowed to remind him that their uniform policy specifically states that players must not write, attach, affix, embroider, or otherwise display nicknames or messages on apparel or playing equipment. I mean, that is true, right? Like, you can't just write whatever you want on your jersey, I guess. I mean, maybe if you're making a political point or something, which I guess is what he's trying to do here. Honestly, this isn't really, I don't know. It kind of just depends on the message, I guess, is what I would say. Like if you wrote like BLM or something, right? Or like Black Lives Matter, like I wouldn't care. Like, if you're writing, if you, and this one, honestly, I don't necessarily care that much, because he's just talking about the covenant between God and the rainbow. And I know that he was probably intending for it to be disrespectful and hateful, but to me, it just sounds like he thinks God is gay too. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really care that much. Now, if they put like Leviticus whatever, where they're like, thou shalt not lie with a man as a woman or something, then I would be like, okay, you're starting to get into like, you're clearly trying to be like hateful. And by doing so, you're going to, obviously be costing the MLB, a lot of money in terms of like dealing with this controversy. So like when it comes to that, like I would be like, okay, yeah, maybe you shouldn't do that. But this one, I'm not even that opposed to personally. Okay, where was I? Because he and the other pitchers did do that, MLB issued them a verbal warning. News of MLB's mild reproach repeat a mild warning, or a verbal warning, man. And then they all freaked the fuck out. Let's see. News of MLB's mild reproach reached Vice President J.D. Vance, who posted on X, Trump won. We don't have to do this anymore. Yeah, I think that they should take it further. I think that on their pride hats, they should say, like, they should write, like, just write what they mean, like, kill all gay people or something. Be more explicit. Let's see if that works. The writing on the cap violates our rules and consistent with normal practice. We have warned the players about future violations, MLB said. The league later followed up. This routine verbal warning not to wear the hat in future games is not disciplinary and had absolutely nothing to do with the content of the message. We respect players' right to free speech. Free expression. MLB wanted it made clear this was not the only such warning about uniforms. We have given the same warning numerous times in the past to players for messages such as Dad, Happy Mother's Day, I love Mom, and names of family members. Yeah, but none of those offended the special little snowflakes in the White House. This one did. The special little snowflakes in the White House got big mad about this one. And so you got to be careful. You have to take their feelings into account, okay? We must coddle our little babies in the office. We must coddle them as much as we possibly can. In a public letter to Commissioner Robert Manfred Thursday, Assistant Attorney General Harmeet K. Dillon announced that she has asked the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission to investigate the matter and reminded MLB that federal law is clear. Employers must modify their uniform requirements to reasonably accommodate their employees' exercise of religion. CNN has reached out to the EEOC on this. Okay, look. First and foremost, that is not what that law is for. That law is for like people who are like religiously, they wear like a turban or something, you know, like, and typically you don't allow hats in your office. Like, you know, it's not for you to like write like to be allowed to say like God hates F slur or whatever, you know, on your hat or uniform. I'm pretty sure that if you did that, most employees are legally allowed to say you got to go home and change. Like, I'm sorry, I don't think that applies here. CNN has reached out to the EEOC on the status of any investigation. Florida's attorney, and also this is so funny. This is so funny to me because they're essentially just doing like reverse cancel culture now, right? Like this is what people got so mad at, like woke 1.0, where people would like if you like reverse this in like people got so mad at like I don't know what would be a good example. I'm trying to think. I guess like if you just reverse this and they had like a black square or something on their hat for BLM, and then you know, everybody like would get mad at it and stuff. Everybody would go up in arms and like, or like you would get like canceled for not wanting it. I don't know. This isn't a good analogy. Sorry. I'm trying to think, but like they're essentially like doing like, oh, you are, if you offend my sensibilities, then I am going to come after you. But it's like they're coming after you for like with the government, which I guess is a little bit different, right? But like previously, like people would get mad, I guess, about it. I don't know. Sorry, that one kind of flopped. I kind of flopped on that one. It's fine. This is a live stream. It is what it is. CNN has reached out to the EEOC on the status of any investigation. Florida's Attorney General James Uthmeyer announced in a statement on Friday that he is launching a formal probe into whether the league is engaging in religious discrimination by selectively enforcing its uniform rules, punishing Christian players for displaying Bible verses while routinely permitting or even encouraging secular social justice and ideological messages. When have they done that? When have they done that? I'm serious. I don't remember them. Maybe they have. I don't know. I don't remember them ever like endorsing that stuff on their uniforms, but maybe they did and I just never heard about it. But the players were not punished. There was no action taken and no fines were levied. The reasonable accommodation for religious objections was already in place. Players whose teams wore Pride Night caps had the option to wear their everyday non-rainbow hats. One Giants player and two players on the LA Dodgers chose not to wear the Pride hats. You probably haven't heard nearly as much about them. That's just because these people are little drama queens who want to be the center of attention. In 2022, the Tampa Bay Rays tried to join the Dodgers and Giants as the only teams to commemorate Pride Night with a dedicated hat and uniform patch. 5 players chose not to participate, opting in instead for their usual uniforms, which they were permitted to do. Their abstention sparked scrutiny and criticism. And the following year, MLB urged teams not to make uniforms part of the Pride celebrations in an effort to avoid future controversy. The Giants and the Dodgers specifically requested and were granted permission to continue wearing the rainbow hats to reflect their history with the cause. The Giants were the first professional sports team to host an HIV/AIDS Awareness Day back in 1994. The Dodgers were one of 2 teams to employ Glenn Burke, the first baseball player to come out as gay, and honored him and the second ever out player Billie Jean with a permanent stadium display earlier this year. That's cool. It is a legacy those teams deemed worthy honoring proudly because increased acceptance has generally been considered positive progress. Not no more, baby. That's negative now. We hate progress. We are all reactionary. Ever since Trump 2, everybody's reactionary. Or it used to be, exactly. As well, the player population in MLB skews Christian and conservative, and throughout the lower levels as well, as evidenced by an independent league team that this week forfeited a game when fewer than 9 players agreed to wear the Pride Night uniforms. That's why there are faith nights and team Bible study groups, and why players frequently appear on the field during program activities and media availabilities wearing shirts that say Jesus won. I mean, you can't blame them for being a little cringe. Christians have a really hard time not being cringe. I'm sorry, they just do. It's kind of the nature, I think, of being like the hegemonic cultural position in America, but also like their ideology that they're constantly under attack. Like they're the way that America has so perfectly merged Christian nationalism, reactionaryism, and Christianity, they've morphed them all under the realm of Christianity. A lot of these people they're constantly feeling like they're under attack, in a way that doesn't reflect reality. And so they feel like they're in some sort of ideological battle or warfare constantly. And so it ends up manifesting itself in just being really fucking cringe, which is why honestly, I'm not that concerned about this particular instance of this Genesis 9:12-16. I'm really not. I mean, honestly, it's kind of whatever. If he did a different Bible verse, or if he wrote on his hat God hates the F slur or something, then I would be more concerned about it. But in all honesty, I just find it to be a little bit cringe. It's also why presumably MLB allowed players on the Giants and Dodgers to wear the standard issued hats on Pride Night. The Giants pitchers, relievers JT Burrow-Brocker and Ryan Walker, along with I thought it was Roop. I don't know. Chose not to go that route. They chose instead to use the pulpit afforded them as professional athletes to make a big, if vague, statement. With that choice, they gained standing in a culture war. Civil disobedience is usually an effective tool for garnering attention. This is not civil disobedience, okay? Civil disobedience is breaking the law. If you break the law for a cause, that is, because you don't agree with the law or you are trying to make a point, that is civil disobedience. This is not civil disobedience. This is just, I mean, this is just woke one shit. This is putting a black square on your hat or whatever, right? This is just woke one shit. Vance's reaction, Trump won, is essentially accurate. In the past year, both registered Republicans and independents have become more likely to say that society's level of acceptance has gone too far. So it's not surprising to learn that any number of baseball players are willing to make a performance out of ensuring everyone knows some of their fan base isn't welcome at the ballpark. But it was a performance, not a sacrifice. They didn't suffer for taking their stand at all, which is the classic, is the classic of what happens. There is no real punishment for going along with the with the hegemonic, generally agreed upon, aligned with power institutions. If you are doing these things in alignment with power, then there's not going to be any punishment. But you can so okay, they're saying this is civil disobedience. It's not, right? But this I guess is very similar to the Colin Kaepernick thing, right? Where Colin Kaepernick, he did he kneeled, right? He kneeled during the national anthem to go along with like the BLM protest, right? And people hated that shit. I mean, generally speaking, the general football audience is incredibly reactionary, just like the general baseball audience is generally reactionary. And they hated that shit. But you'll notice there was actual real consequences for him doing that, right? There is a difference because when he did it, he was actually challenging power. He was challenging state power, and he was challenging corporate power. These people, look, okay. If these people want to see what it looks like, if you want to see what it looks like to actually be targeted and like to actually be, in like a challenging power in some like real meaningful way, put a Palestinian flag on your hat next time. How about that? Let's see you do that. Let's see you put a Palestinian flag on your hat. I guarantee you're going to get a lot more than just a verbal warning if you do that. I promise you. Try it out. See what happens. Like they said at the end of this article, they were not they were not in any way reprimanded. They had no material consequence for doing this, which is like because it doesn't challenge power in any meaningful way. And this is why I say it's just cringe. It's not that big of a deal, and it's just cringe. The actual iconography he used, as far as I'm aware, was just a Bible verse, and he was doing it to be a little drama queen, reactionary, and that's basically the gist of it. So from my particular perspective, at least. Let's go ahead and see how Fox News thinks, though, because maybe I'm not the target demographic of this type of grandstanding and viewpoint positioning or whatever. Let's see what Fox News has to say.
Ball caps have become a big controversy. The Department of Justice now investigating Major League Baseball for potential religious discrimination. The league recently warned several San Francisco Giants players against expressing their Christian faith after they wrote Bible verses on their Pride Night caps. In a letter to Commissioner Rob Manfred, the department's Civil Rights Division writes, quote, "The Trump administration is committed to combating religious discrimination. I have referred this matter to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission for further investigation." Some athletes ripping the league.
This is what we're worried about right here. Major League Baseball players wearing a hat with a Bible verse on it. That's what we worry about in $1 billion industry.
Yeah, exactly. Who gives a shit? You know what I'm saying? Who gives a shit? This is such a nothing story, man. I'm glad this guy agrees with me. This is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard.
Major League Baseball, you can suck it.
I feel like it would be similar to saying everybody should have to wear a cross on their jersey, but I would never expect that with my teammates that don't believe the same thing. At the end of the day,
they didn't have to wear it. We just read the article. They didn't have to wear it. They could have just worn their normal hat. It is different. It is different.
I think I would literally just feel like, why is this in sport?
Outkick's Clay Travis with this. MLB has...
Why is this in sports? Because they're trying to make fucking money. And gay people and people who, like libs in general are a huge demographic that they want to get in there. That is why, lady.
A real mess here. It's not...
It's corporate pride, okay? I think a lot of people misunderstand corporate pride versus like actual, organic, like gay pride events and stuff. Corporate pride is how corporations can monetize people's, identity, right? And there are, like, I'm not saying it's a 100% negative or positive. I'm just trying to explain what it is. Corporations see that they can market themselves, or like market, in this case, a very particular day, as their gay pride event, and they will get a entirely different demographic to come in and buy tickets and, you know, spend money, and also probably, you know, a lot of like wealthy people too, or whatever. Like, you know, they might spend like more money on their merchandise or their gay pride merchandise or whatever, right? They're not doing that out of the goodness of their heart. They're not doing that out of like some agenda that they are trying to get across in order to like, I don't know, turn all your kids gay or whatever the fuck you think. Like that's not why they're doing it. They are doing this to make money, and because it is profitable to do so. And so there is a difference between that and like organic, actual like pride events and stuff that are not money making endeavors, right? And so that's why they do it. I think people just need to understand the difference between corporate pride versus like, you know, actual, you know, like non-corporate pride.
2020 anymore. Back then, you'll remember the league went all in on the Black Lives Matter movement amid the George Floyd riots. The following year, Manfred yanked the All-Star game out of Atlanta over pressure from the far left. It was based on the false narrative that Georgia's new voting laws amounted to Jim Crow 2.0.
See, and this is what I was trying to say earlier. People hated this shit. People were so annoyed by it. Right, when you started going after all of these, you know, when you tried to like impose your viewpoint on these like on things like sports or whatever, right, and you end up like, I don't know, like making a scene or whatever. I'm not making a moral argument here. I think, you know, I think that it, like, whenever like Colin Kaepernick did his kneel, I think that was a brave and solid thing for him to do. I'm not making a like, and I believe in his goal, right? I'm not making a moral argument. I'm just saying from the outsider's perspective, it was annoying. They didn't like it. And now the right is just doing all the same shit. It's like the right always takes whatever liberals or wokes do, and they just do it the same way but worse, like later on, it feels like. Like canceling and all that.
In 2023, the Dodgers invited a drag group that mocks Catholic nuns to their Pride Night. Gianna Caldwell, Fox News political analyst, with us now. The MLB has never been shy about shooting itself in the foot, Gianna.
100%. And I think these moments make us realize even more and more that Christianity has been under attack in our country by corporate interests like the MLB and many others. And I got to point to something else, because this happened around.
They're perma victims, dude. It's the Israeli mindset, man. All of these people are like, they have the Israeli mindset where they are perma victims that can never, ever, under any circumstance, like actually be the ones in power or in control. Christianity is the dominant religion of America. You're not under attack. You're never under attack. You're just little baby snowflakes who like to cry about shit all the time, and you like to pretend like you're under attack so that you can justify your terrible, unhinged, evil policies. That is why, like, you're so fucking cringe. It's annoying.
Pride Night. That was the whole point. Yeah. We did see another picture just last year. Bryce Miller from the Mariners, he put on his cap Isaiah 6:8, "Here I am, send me." Fans appreciated it. He got a lot of praise for it. But again, it wasn't Pride Night. So this is where the distinction comes. So do you hate Christians that much, MLB, that you say that you got to speak out against this particular instance, when we've seen other instances where things are okay? We can talk about BLM or anything else. But that's one of the questions that I think they need to be asked, point blank, period.
Right. So Josh Hawley, senator, says that he wants to ask some questions here. He posted a letter that he sent to the MLB commissioner asking for an explanation for the Bible verse warning. He captioned the post, quote, "What does MLB think it's doing, penalizing players for their Christian faith? They owe us."
They didn't penalize them. They gave them a warning, and this isn't what religious discrimination law is used for. I already talked about it. This is so stupid.
Right,
this is so stupid.
Our 15-year-old daughter has got a Bible
Why
verse.
do we care? This is such a. Why am I even covering this? To be honest, I'm gonna move on because this is like, this is so nothing. This is a nothing story. It is a little drama queen trying to make a scene, and everybody taking it way too fucking seriously. But we have to end on a positive note. By the way, this is going to be the last story. I'm not going to get to the algae stuff. I'm sorry. I want to dive a little deeper into it. Maybe I'll save it for next time or tomorrow or something. I'm already 2 hours and 8 minutes into it, but I want to end on a positive note. So we talked about, you know, the gay meltdown that's happening at the MLB. We watched some Fox News reactionary reactions, but now we have The Onion. This is from The Onion, and they have an announcement. I'm not even gonna, since you can't see the title, I'm not even going to say what this is about. We're just going to go into it blind. I'll say that it is tangentially related to sports and gayness. How about that? Let's watch it.
Spectators at the Breeders' Cup World Championships this weekend will see the first ever openly gay horse to run in a major stakes race. Jean Ann Wharton takes us beyond the facts.
Here at Santa Anita Park, many bettors are counting on two-time Beaumont winner Fantastic Feet to take the Breeders' Cup, but it's newcomer Ship's Captain that has everyone talking.
I see him at the head of the field, and I think, there's no way that horse is gay. But he is.
Trainer Gene Harris acknowledged the horse's sexual orientation in last week's Time magazine.
He can no more change.
How brave, dude. This horse is so brave. I love it. I love it.
The fact that he's gay than he can that he has 4 hooves.
There have been rumors of gay horses competing since the early days of thoroughbred racing. Flat Tire, Whirlybird, and Nor'easter were widely suspected to be homosexual, while the book Out in the Pasture revealed former Preakness champ Silver Dollar struggled to remain in the closet, going so far as breeding with mares to protect his secret. What were your biggest concerns about Ship's Captain coming out?
You know, the horses. I was worried how they'd react. Would they refuse to ride in the same trailer as him? They buck and snort when we walked in the stable.
Gaining the acceptance of other trainers and horses is only part of the battle. While many racing fans are commending Ship's Captain for his bravery, others aren't ready to accept the idea of a gay racehorse.
This is what all the this is what all the people who are mad about the hats in the MLB. This is the notes they're sending to the MLB right now.
A bad name on racing?
No, I don't think there should be anything like that. I think everything should be natural.
It ain't right.
I'm worried about all the other horses that are with them, that they're, you know, they have to eat together and they might get horse AIDS or something like that.
There's an astonishing amount of ignorance out there. I'll be in a stable with Ship's Captain and I'll hear a jockey say, "That's so gay." And I'll think, I hope he can't understand human language.
Despite the horse's high profile, Harris says Ship's Captain's priority is to race, not make a political statement.
Ship's Captain is here because he's fast, not because he's gay. There are other gay horses. You know, people go out to a petting farm, there's gay ponies out there that they're petting. There's gay plow horses. This is a part of the world.
The latest odds on Ship's Captain winning the Breeders' Cup are 16-1, but don't count him out just yet. He's already overcome much greater odds just by being himself. From Beyond the Facts, I'm Jean Ann Wharton.
Thanks, Jean Ann. We'll all be watching to see how that gay horse fares.
See. Dude, The Onion is so good sometimes. This was from 17 years ago, by the way. I don't know if it's obvious from how, like, you know, how terrible the video looks or whatever, but this is from 17 years ago. And it just goes to show that while like we keep getting older, but like the world keeps changing, but the problems that exist are still the same. They're still the fucking same. Nothing changes. We live in hell. This is purgatory, and that is the show. Thank you all for watching. If you're watching the VOD, love you too. Tomorrow we're back to our regularly scheduled 4 o'clock p.m. shows. So you know, look forward to it. Be there or be square. That's what I say. This has been Technically Clay, and the stream is technically over.